All right, folks, as we wrap up a historical 2024, we take a look here at XRP and we see we are heading into 2025 with the most amount of momentum behind this digital asset. I'm talking about the most momentum compared to any other digital asset in this space. Yes, you can maybe get some more gains on some meme coins, but when it comes to putting real money to work, making a real investment with considerable capital, we take a look at this XRP investment amongst the rest of other opportunities, and it just looks to me like we have the most amount of momentum going into 2025. So we're going to talk about that in today's update. Take a look around. There's some situations that ain't so good. And so we got to be prepared for that, but understanding where we can find safety and shelter and where we're going to seek out and find the biggest returns and gains in this upcoming year of 2025. Now, I will be going live here tonight at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going to watch the year-end candle close for XRP. And like I said, as long as we close above $2, send it. It's looking good. And we will be going into the new year with the most amount of momentum we've ever had for XRP. Now, unfortunately, for everybody else, well, you just got the Kramer kiss of death. I'm very bullish on 2025. Probably the best year that we will have in decades. Happy New Year, everyone. There you go. Wrap it up. Shut it down. It's over. And obviously, that is a fake post, but I figured that we'd throw that in there. Until XRP gets the Kramer kiss of death, I'm going to be as bullish as ever. Now, speaking of this market, let's take a look at it. Now, nobody's going to believe me, but this is the trend line that I drew on the chart here a couple weeks ago because I saw that we were consolidating here, and I zoomed out, and I said, okay, what happens if I just draw a trend line, that was riding the bottom of these candles back here in November, and I just see where it takes us out to. And so I know you're going to have to trust me, bro, but seriously, I did draw this trend line just a couple weeks ago. I mean, it's a trend line to nowhere, just to give myself an idea, where could we go and the trend would still be our friend. And sure enough, we get this perfect little bounce right here off the trend line. We held $2. Some exchanges did take us down to about $1.99, maybe $1.98 for a brief second. But really, we held that $2 level really well, and right now we're at $2.09. This morning, XRP was up to about $2.14, and so we're just bouncing perfectly off of $2 once again here, ready to make that move up towards all-time high here shortly. So that's why I titled the update yesterday, Imminent Breakout. I know folks are tired of hearing imminent breakout. It's going to happen. But as I pointed out, we're coming up here when the briefs would be due in this SEC versus Ripple appeal process. So do we have a potential settlement coming up here right around the corner? I look at that amongst many other catalysts that are specific to XRP on top of the broader bullish catalyst that we have for the entire crypto market. And this is why I'm just I'm very happy, pleasantly surprised to see XRP holding $2 here at the end of this year. Obviously, we would have hoped for more, but we have to recognize the strength and the momentum that we have captured and that we have building and taking us in to 2025. Now, something that doesn't have momentum going into 2025 would be Tether. And this is one of the many headwinds that faces crypto and the broader market as a whole. Take a look at it right here. This is CoinMarketCap, and you're looking at the market cap of Tether. And so what you see right here is that the market cap of Tether got all the way up here to about 140.5 billion. 140 billion. Okay? Well, since then, we've seen redemptions and we've seen a selling off of Tether as it is now being delisted on basically every exchange in Europe is getting into compliance with MiCA, and they've delisted Tether. And so what we see now on the CoinMarketCap reporting, 141.4 billion USDT supply, but the market cap is only 137 billion, and Tether is still depegged at 9985. Now, if you look just over, if we go to the price chart, and what we see here is basically we lost our peg back on December 17th. That was the last time that Tether was pegged to $1. And ever since then, we've just fallen off here. So Tether has lost its peg. Tether has lost the momentum that it had. And they're going to have to make some moves here and some adjustments coming into compliance into Europe. Otherwise, they're just going to continue to lose market share. And then obviously we have new competitors on the block like RLUSD. Now, speaking of competitors, Chinese President Xi Jinping declares that Taiwan as part of China in his official New Year's address. The people on both sides of the Taiwan Strait are one family. No one can sever our family bonds, and no one can stop the historical trend of national reunification. So not only do we have the aliens, not only do we have the volcano off the West Coast, not only I was going to add in this one, now we got the fog. Everybody's reporting the fog that's come into town. But we also have that tense situation over there in China. Obviously, the war in Ukraine. This is why I'm saying, the World War III is still going on. Just yesterday, it was reported that China hacked into the Treasury's offices. And I was saying, hopefully, they give us some new guidance on the crypto taxes. I know everybody's freaking out about that. Once again, I'll link up the free 1099 digital asset form and the safe harbor allocation plan. I'll link that up down below for you guys so you can take care of that. And while we're on that thread, Jeremy Hogan giving us the update on the business ownership information filing requirement. This was with FinCEN. The lower court stayed the filing requirement, then the appellate court unstayed it, then the same bipolar appellate court stayed it again. So once again, you do not have to file. On behalf of everyone in the legal system, I apologize. And we appreciate that update from Jeremy Hogan, because I know some people were questioning me. I read in the comments the last couple of videos, folks are like, no, you still need to file it. I'm like, no, my understanding is you don't. And sure enough, we got confirmation from Jeremy Hogan and others that yes, this has now been unstayed. I guess it was stayed, unstayed. You don't have to do it for this year. But watch closely. The Treasury or FinCEN has already said that they're going to be appealing this ruling as well. So they want to know how much crypto you got, where you got it at, and they also want to know what entities you own, right? So this is all about full control, full surveillance. They're coming for everything. And as always, this is why I've always said, if you truly want to get offline, if you truly want some blackout barter when the systems go down, or if you just don't want to be tracked and traced for every single movement that you're doing, precious metals is the way. Now, watching what they're doing, this is getting interesting. The Federal Reserve is pumping $500 billion of repo liquidity into the banking system over the next 4 days, then pulling it away. I wonder what they're worried about. Now, it's going to be so interesting to watch this transition of power that's supposed to be peaceful. We're seeing it's not peaceful in the markets right now. The markets are not liking what Powell had to say a couple weeks ago about not getting as many rate cuts next year. So the markets are already rolling over. We're seeing that the liquidity crisis on the back end is still present. And then we've seen, Trump said on January 1st, something's going to go into effect. And we really don't know what that is, but we know that when he does come into office too, he has a lot of plans. And so we're opening up Trump's Pandora's box. At the same time, call it the deep state, call it whatever you want. The opposite of the America First agenda, the opposite of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness on a level playing field. Yeah, the group that's working towards an agenda that's the opposite of that, they're unleashing everything. The fog, volcanoes, drones, aliens, you name it. They're sending everything they got at us. Liquidity crisis on the back end still happening. So once again, while I'm going to show you here the update and the momentum behind XRP and Ripple going into 2025, it is massive, but we still have some situations that need to be addressed here in the macroeconomic situation. Now, we have Ripple Chris Larsen and family visiting Cambodia and getting a lot of news coverage. Shout out to Ari and Cyber Melis for the heads up on this one. We have former Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen met with American billionaire Chris Larsen on Friday, and they go on to explain this. Larsen is married to Lena Lam, who fled Cambodia in 1979, and so Chris Larsen's got some connections and some ins here. Okay, according to Hun Sen, now Senate President, Larsen was looking for new investment opportunities in the renewable energy sector to expand Cambodia's solar panel exports to the United States. Now, this is what's interesting to me. Chris Larsen added that he and his family will do their utmost to contribute to the strengthening of U.S.-Cambodian relations, especially in the era of President Donald Trump's new administration through business relations. So folks were so worried and so caught up on the fact that Chris Larsen had donated $10 million worth of XRP to Kamala. And at the time I said, guys, it's marketing. Write it off as a marketing expense. Obviously, this was from Chris Larsen's personal fund, so Ripple can't write this off as a business or political contribution because it was from Chris Larsen. But for all intensive purposes, right, this was just to keep the doors open. And you're seeing here that the door is open in Cambodia for Chris Larson as well. This is the role that Chris Larson plays. Doesn't matter if you agree with his politics or not, he gets us in the room. And that's what matters. At the highest level of business, when you're dealing with these guys and gals up here at the very top, you want to be able to keep that door open. And that's what role Chris plays. That's what a donation to Kamala does, is it puts us on the map. Wow. The largest crypto donation of this election cycle, who did it come from? Chris Larson. Who is he? Oh, he just happens to be the chairman and founder of this company, Ripple, a little startup out of San Francisco. Oh, but he didn't pay in cash. He paid in what? What was that he paid in? A little crypto called XRP? And then Brad takes it to 60 Minutes. Brad goes to the World Economic Forum. Once again, just because we don't agree with these groups or these people doesn't mean you don't confront them. Doesn't mean you don't go address them and take the interview, get the exposure, and show the world that you can sit down with somebody you disagree with and convey your thoughts and the value that you're bringing here in your crypto ecosystem. That's what this is about. So Chris Larson in Cambodia getting deals done. And despite donating to Kamala, he's setting us up for this new Trump administration. It's all deals. It's all suits behind closed doors. You can watch what they say all day about Chris Larson supporting Kamala. And I played the clips and I was laughing my ass off. I was laughing my ass off watching Chris Larson talking about supporting Kamala. You're telling me with your billions of XRP that you want to support an unrealized capital gains tax? Now that's a knee slapper right there, Chris. You got me. That's a good one. I mean, it was a joke the whole time, the whole way through. And now we see what? Ripple and Brad's meeting with Trump. They've been meeting with Trump, and they're going to continue meeting with Trump. Now, speaking of the doors being open, Raghuram Rajan, who was recently appointed to the advisory board of Ripple's ROUSD, has a highly impressive resume. You guys have probably already heard of this guy, but just adding a little bit more context. He was the chief economist and director of research at the IMF. He was the governor of the Reserve Bank of India, and he is the vice chairman of the Bank of International Settlements. So this is another all-star player that has been added to our roster here. Raghuram Rajan, Central Bank of India, and also was from the IMF and the BIS. I mean, you cannot find another crypto company, period, that even comes close. I've been saying this for years. Nothing has changed. Most crypto companies cannot even get these institutions and these types of guys to pick up the phone. They can't even get a meeting with these types of people. And meanwhile, you see Chris making his rounds. You see Brad and Stu meeting with Trump. You see Central Bank of India come on in and join the Ripple advisory board here for our stablecoin. You saw who else joined. What was that? Another guy from the Fed, from our Fed, joining the advisory board for the stablecoin too, on top of Rosie Rios and the rest of Sandy O'Connor and the rest of the gang, right? This is the all-star team of crypto, and it's not even close. It is not even close. Okay, this is the all-star team. Every other team in crypto doesn't even belong in the same league. This isn't even JV. This isn't even C team. This is pickup ball after school that the rest of the crypto space is playing. And Ripple right here taking that national championship, you know. Now Stu's setting the tone here. Let's hope these principles won't need repeating in 2025 and beyond. First off, the SEC only has jurisdiction over securities transactions. Selling a gold bar with a contractual right, title, or interest in my gold mine, likely a security transaction. Selling that same gold bar without post-sale rights or obligations, just an asset sale. The SEC can't police it. The SEC's reach doesn't expand based on a self-serving view of who it thinks is more deserving of disclosures. A token is never a security, although it can be the subject of a security transaction. The notion that a token can evolve from a security to a non-security is a made-up fallacy with no footing in the law. And it really is just that simple. Folks are asking, as I dropped the update yesterday, when BlackRock XRP ETF, and folks are still confused thinking that that would make XRP a security. No. Anything can be put into an ETF. The ETF is the security. The ETF is what the SEC has jurisdiction over. That is an ETF. That is a security. The underlying asset, XRP, or the underlying asset, gold, oil, any other commodity, can be packaged up and put into a securities offering through an ETF. The ETF is the security, not the XRP. For gold ETFs, the ETF is the security, not the gold. And so this is what this whole battle is about. And it's not complicated at all. It's really simple. And what's interesting is that you have the SEC overextending their jurisdiction. That's the problem. And then the other problem is that you have all these crypto bros that did ICOs, that are doing fundraisers, they're doing launch pads, where they're doing investments with, like Stu says here, post-sale rights or obligations. Basically, you give me money here, I'm going to give you tokens later. And we got ourselves a real contract with post-sale obligations and rights. And folks are surprised when the SEC comes down on them. It's like, no, you created a contract with obligations and rights and expectations of profits based off of that investment. This is not complicated at all. So it's not complicated for the crypto bros who thought that they were going to be able to skirt the SEC while they raised money from investors and did themselves a deal. You're not going to be able to skirt the SEC. But in that same thread, we are absolutely sick of the SEC trying to expand their jurisdiction to say that the underlying assets, the underlying tokens themselves are securities, right? This is the problem. So hopefully, as Stu says, we can leave that behind and everybody can have this simple understanding that the tokens themselves are not contracts. But if you develop some sort of scheme, you develop some sort of contract and offer with obligations and expectations, well then, yes, you have packaged up your poop coin into an investment contract and it's an unregistered securities offering. Or go into the SEC and register the Launchpad ICO offering of your poop coin. It's that simple. We don't have to complicate it. And Franklin Templeton dropping a couple of predictions right here. Just wanted to note this. Franklin Templeton has been investing in our space in a massive way. They're supposed to be running validators on over like 30 plus blockchains. Franklin Templeton definitely coming into the crypto space hot. But they do note here that they expect to see Bitcoin will solidify its position as a global financial asset acting as a digital store of value, accelerated by sovereign and institutional adoption. We expect to see strategic Bitcoin reserves added by several nations. Now, I point this out, and the rest of their predictions are kind of interesting too. You know, AI, decentralized physical infrastructure networks, some of that stuff. For me, none of those use cases have been as big as payments, which is why I've always been focused on XRP. And, you know, I find it interesting that basically when this conversation about strategic reserves comes up, we have strategic reserves for oil, for gas, for, you know, other commodities. But when it comes to crypto, we only consider Bitcoin being added as a reserve. And I think that that's flawed thinking. I think that, you know, folks are missing what's taking place. And I think that that's going to be unveiled in 2025, that it's not just strategic reserves of Bitcoin. You are going to see institutions like SBI and others, and maybe even governments as well, too, that add XRP as a reserve as well. So I think that, you know, I get where Franklin Templeton's going, and most of the space is talking about Bitcoin strategic reserves. I think that we need to start talking about XRP strategic reserves as well. And it's not just me saying that. Remember, the shareholders sent that letter to SBI saying you need to become the Michael Saylor of XRP. You need to start buying a bunch of XRP publicly, disclosing how much you own, and basically become the MicroStrategy Michael Saylor of XRP. That's what we want out of you. There were some pissed off shareholders of SBI. They said, you need to maximize your investment in Ripple. We know that they have a bunch of XRP. You need to double down on this investment too. And I'm like, okay, that sounds good to me. You know, I didn't think that SBI could get more bullish on XRP, but I guess if they take it to the level of a Michael Saylor strategy, I wouldn't complain. Now, this is the momentum going into 2025 that you know, we're talking about here. This is a report here from CoinDesk talking about XRP trading volume is again topping the charts on South Korea's biggest exchanges, overtaking Bitcoin in a sign of flurried interest that often precedes price volatility. So once again, back to Bitcoin strategic reserves. As it relates here, you're seeing it's not just, you know, retail showing us that they're skipping over Bitcoin and they're going straight to XRP. And maybe they do have some Bitcoin, but right now we're watching that the XRP trading volumes are double that of Bitcoin and 10 times larger than that of Ethereum in Korea right now. So maybe this is just a Korea thing, but I think if we looked a little bit further, you would see this across the board. And in fact, we are. When you look on other exchanges, XRP did surpass the volume of Bitcoin on Coinbase briefly within the last month. right? And I think that you saw it get close on Binance and others. Now, in Korea, though, like Anthony Welfare comments here, the trading volume is double that of Bitcoin, 10 times that of Ethereum. Total trading volume against the won on official Upbit and BitHump and Corebit, the country's largest exchanges by volume and users, topped $800 million in dollar value in the past 24 hours. XRP's registered over $200 million in volumes on BitHump, $600 million on Upbit, and with Bitcoin trading volumes less than half of those on both exchanges, interest in other assets such as Doge, Ether was even lower, reaching just a tenth of the demand seen for XRP. So they don't want Bitcoin. They don't want Ether. They want nothing to do with Ether, and I don't blame them. I don't either. I don't care for Bitcoin or Ether either. I do have myself a little bag of Doge. We'll see how that plays out. And you're seeing it. This is the momentum going into 2024 that we're talking about. All-star team at Ripple. Check. All the way through. Not just from Ripple, but now their new stablecoin advisory bill. Fully staffed up there. Or full roster, I should say, of big hitters. Nothing but big hitters. When we look at the fundamentals, all there. All of the utilities and amendments coming to the XRP ledger, it's all there. When we look from a legal standpoint, we could potentially be looking at a settlement here in the next 30 days. We're looking at broader cryptocurrency legislation getting passed this year as well. And then when you go back and you look at the technicals, everything's intact. So come on back here tonight at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be going live 30 minutes before the candle close, the end of year candle close. We'll be going live 30 minutes before that. And so come on back. Make sure you guys have subscribed. Hit that notification bell. Set yourself a reminder. I'm going to drop the link to that live show in the description of this video, so you can go straight to that link. You can set a reminder and make sure that you come on back here tonight. We're going to see how we finish off this year. And as long as XRP closes above $2, this will be the highest monthly and yearly close in XRP's history. Combine that with all of the other facts and catalysts that we've laid out here. This is why I'm saying that XRP is in the most bullish and has the most momentum going into 2025. You guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. I appreciate your support. Everything else is available at ZachRector.com. And oh, by the way, one final warning. What I did activate on my Patreon is if you sign up for a 1-year membership on your Patreon, you can reduce your membership fees by 10%. So take advantage of that. That's going to be expiring here at the end of this year. So you have 24 hours to take advantage of that. Save 10% on your yearly membership on my Patreon. Greatly appreciate your support and would love to see you in our family. God bless all of you guys. We'll see you in the next one. 3:30 p.m. Pacific, 6:30 Eastern. See you there. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.